This is Popular Front, a podcast focused on the very niche and kind of geeky details of modern warfare with me, Jake Hanrahan. First of all, Happy New Year 2020, let's go. This episode we're speaking to Mustafa Salim, a journalist with the Washington Post. He's going to be telling us about the US embassy siege that has happened over yesterday and today, where members of Kata'ib Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militia operating inside Iraq, have surrounded the US embassy, got into the place within the green zone and attacked the base, basically surrounding it. There's a lot going on there, so Mustafa is going to explain exactly what's been happening. He's been there on the ground, so he knows what's what. If you like what we're doing here at Popular Front, please do consider supporting us at patreon.com/popularfront. Maybe you can take us back to the start, really, and explain, why this siege has happened in the first place, because it's not like it just came out of nowhere, you know what I mean?
I know. Well, we should go way back. The tension between we should be accurate. Those people are not the same people who are in Tahrir Square. I mean, there are some demonstrations in Tahrir Square since October 1st. These are anti-Iran demonstrations. Mm-hmm. Those people are different. Those people are the people who are supporters of the Shia militias, who are basically against those people in Tahrir Square. The tension between those people and the Americans is going way back, because most of them are backed by Iran, loyal to Iran, funded by Iran, and started with the tension between the US and Iran. It was increased recently when the Iraqi protest started in October, because it was anti-Iran demonstrations, and those people saw it as American conspiracy to threaten the Iranians' influence inside Iraq. They even called those people who are protesting as gangs of the American Joker.
Right, so yeah, I think that's a good point. A lot of people were saying in the media, they're protesters outside the embassy, but they're not, right? They're effectively militiamen without fatigues.
Yes, that's true. They are just militiamen. There has been for a while bombing the Iraqi military bases which has American personnel. They have also bombed the Green Zone many times, where the American embassy is located. Once a rocket missile landed in the same street where the U.S. embassy is located and killed one Iraqi soldier at the checkpoint. Many times also they bombed the embassy, but the rockets landed on the river, on the Tigris River. They bombed Assad base, where the most American personnel are there. When Trump came to Iraq, he visited that base. When Pence, the vice president, came to Iraq, he visited that base. The rockets landed right on the runway. And eventually they bombed K1 air base in Kirkuk, which led to the death of an American contractor. Before that K1 bombing, the US has said that they will respond for these attacks because they are being increased. So when this happened, according to the Iraqi Prime Minister Adel al-Mahdi, he got a call from the American Secretary of Defense. He told them that we already located who are the party who were behind that attack in K1 in Kirkuk, which killed an American contractor, and he named that they were the Kata'ib Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militia. And he told the Prime Minister that the decision has been made into bombing them, and they bombed them in Iraq and Syria. In Iraq, they bombed two headquarters of those militias located in Anbar, western Iraq, and led to the death at least 25 fighters of that militia.
And this was the recent bombing, right?
Yes, 29th of December.
29th, okay, right. So it was only a few days ago. And maybe you can explain, who exactly is this group, Kata'ib Hezbollah? Because there's a lot of confusion about, who's Hashd al-Shabi, which group it is. Maybe you can give us some idea.
Well, when the Americans entered Iraq in 2003, Muqtada al-Sadr formed his own militia. He called them Al-Mahdi Army. Then, day by day, Qais al-Khaz'ali split from Muqtada al-Sadr and split his own militia. He called them Asahib al-Haq. And day by day, Akram al-Ka'bi split from Qais al-Khaz'ali and formed his own militia and called them Harakat al-Nujaba. And then Shibl al-Zaydi split from another one and also called, formed a militia, Kata'ib Imam Ali. those militias, like even before Imam Ali, those militias were fighting also in Syria, supporting the regime of Bashar al-Assad. And then and also Kata'ib Hezbollah was formed in 2007 by mostly by Iran in order to trying to limit the American influence inside Iraq. They were the main people and others who were like doing the attacks against the American army in Iraq before they withdrew from Iraq in 2011. The Hash al-Shabi is an umbrella group that was formed after ISIS took over the city of Mosul, northern Iraq. The Shia authority, Ali Sistani, issued what they called religious order as fatwa, and to like group of volunteers to fight against those terrorist gangs. Then the Hash al-Shabi was formed, which means the Popular Mobilization Forces. Because of that, lots of a group has been formed. Many new groups has been formed, and they were fighting. And in order to, in a way to put them all together, to legalize them, they formed the Committee of Hash al-Shabi, which should be all these groups I mentioned. The old groups and the new groups are under. But the leader of the leader of that PMU, the main leader, is Falah al-Fayyad, who's also at the same time he's the head of national security. And the man who's controlling everything, his deputy, is Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis. Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis is classified as a terrorist by the United States.
Sorry for my confusion here, but then, so does that mean that Kata'ib Hezbollah comes under the Hash al-Shabi grouping or not? Because they work alongside each other, right?
The Kata'ib, even like because they have been classified as terrorist organization way before the formation of Hash al-Shabi, they chose even like no one knows, like they don't say in public who's their actual leader. But they have huge leverage here in Iraq. They do have lots of existence, arms, headquarters. They control everything basically. They are very strong here. So and like it's not the first time that they act under the authority and under authority of themselves. They're not controlled. Once I remember in 2015, security forces arrest a member of Kata'ib for stealing something from Tikrit or Fallujah, I don't remember exactly. They stormed the prison and they took him out.
Right, so they got a lot of power.
Yeah, they have their own state. No one can control them.
So what happened then with them, leading up to the siege? I believe the siege is kind of stopped as of a few hours ago. But, you're on the ground there. Like, what happened?
Going back, after that strike took place, the Kata'ib Hezbollah has announced that they will do a central funeral marching for those who died as a result of that attack by the U.S. forces. They gathered early morning. There were like thousands of them, like between fighters, supporters, and also other militia groups like Asab al-Haq and Badr, because they're all they have the same ideology. They're all anti-Americans. The followers were thousands, and they did this funeral marching. Then they went straight into the green zone, which is an area supposed to be closed for civilians because it's the headquarters of the U.S. Embassy, British Embassy, other foreign embassies, and also the Prime Minister Office, Defense Ministry, and other government buildings. No one can enter that area as civilians. They can't enter that area unless they have a special access, which we call IZ badge, International Zone badge. But there were thousands of people armed with vehicles. They stormed the gate of the green zone and they entered the checkpoint, which has only 6 or 7 policemen. They couldn't control them or they couldn't stop them. They went deep inside the green zone. They went to the streets of the U.S. Embassy. They surrounded the U.S. Embassy. They set up tents, and they started destroying the cameras outside of the embassy. They started to smash the glass. They started to burn the trees outside the embassy. They also prepared the homemade Molotov cocktails and threw them inside the embassy and caused fires. And civil defense of the U.S. Embassy were seen from outside trying to put out these fires. And they stormed the main reception room of the embassy, which is outside, and they burned it. And they were trying to breach inside. And this whole time, Iraqi forces who were in charge to protect the green zone were just standing aside and not doing anything because they didn't want to get involved with those angry people. But then some official or leader of the Kata'ib Hezbollah on the microphone was like yelling at the people, please don't enter the embassy. Our aim is only to stand outside and besieging it and have a sit-in. And at the same time, the prime minister issued a statement ordering all those groups to leave the area immediately. Then some of the Iraqi forces intervened and they like formed a buffer between those militiamen and the embassy. The situation continued and more tents came, more people came, and they have set up many tents and surrounded the whole perimeter of the embassy. And also they burned another reception room. But then they set up their tents and they stayed there. By the night, CDS also came, which are the counterterrorism forces, Iraqi forces who are like trained and armed by the Americans before, in order to control the situation. So the situation was they are like a buffer between those people and the embassy. Also, continue. They also tried to breach, but the CDS managed to control them with this buffer, and they managed to stop them. By the time by the time the people tried to breach the embassy, the U.S. Security inside the embassy responded with tear gas, sound grenades, but they were like almost harmless comparing to the stun grenades and tear gas were used against the Iraqi protesters in Tahrir Square by the Iraqi riot police. Even those militiamen, they called these methods as cute methods because they were almost harmless to them.
They call them cute.
Yeah, they call them cute because I mean the stun grenades we can barely hear it, and the tear gas is not effective at all. Unlike the Iraqi riot police when they were shooting at the head, where they killed people, more than 500 people died because of that. These American tear gas, they had sponge in it, in order not to shoot the head actually.
Right, and then they sent troops as well, though, right? We saw some footage of the troops in the green zone.
They announced that they are sending troops, marine troops, and also this morning after phone calls between President Trump and Prime Minister al-Mahdi and Barham Saleh. The Hash al-Shabi PMU issued a statement this morning ordering all their followers to retreat from the U.S. Embassy area, and they have picked another place to do the sit-in, which is outside the green zone, across the river, which is also like you can see the American Embassy from that place, but that place is not a source of threat at all because it's far. There's a river between them. Badr, Asa'ib al-Haq, other militias retreated. But Kata'ib Hezbollah and Harakat al-Nujaba, both militias are classified as terrorist organizations by the U.S. They refused to leave. They stayed. And they said that we are not under the authority of Hash al-Shabi. We are Islamic resistance. We take orders only from our leaders. So they stayed there. They set up their tents and they kept cooking food for those people who are there. And then suddenly, a senior official of Kata'ib Hezbollah, who is also the political spokesperson of Kata'ib Hezbollah, he went on the stage and he said that the message has been delivered. We humiliated the Americans. It's a victory for us. And now it's up to the parliament to issue a law to oblige the U.S. to withdraw their forces from the Iraq, because their demand was that they are staying until they withdrew of the whole U.S. troops from the country.
That's completely unrealistic, though. Like, what do you think is the actual game plan behind this? Is it just like angry backlash from the airstrikes, or is there something else?
It's both. It's the angry backlash, and also they use the circumstances to do a leverage, like Iran did, made this in order to as pressure card against the Americans.
To kind of show them like we can touch you.
Show them that we can do damage. When then I talked to that guy, asked him what's happening. He said that, another guy of the Kata'ib, he said that they got some guarantees from political blocs, parliament, that they will issue that law, in order to demand the U.S. forces to withdraw from the country. That's not likely at all. In order to such law, you'll need like the majority of votes. It's unlikely the Kurds would vote. It's unlikely the Sunni would vote. It's unlikely also some Shia MPs would vote. So no, it's not. Plus, we don't have. I mean, our prime minister resigned already. It's just like an emergency government, and there are demands to oppose the government and start an early elections.
So it seems that Kata'ib Hezbollah, then, at least from my perspective, listening to this, is like they're trying to kind of get their claws in a little bit deeper in a kind of time of crisis, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, they figured out. I mean, if those American forces would arrive, Kata'ib Hezbollah can't do anything, and so they chose and leave by their will, not to be forced to leave.
Right, and what do you think is going to happen in the future? Do you think this is going to happen again, or is this maybe not quite a big a deal as some people are making out?
No, I mean, the crisis, I think for now, the crisis is over. Now they already set up their tents and everything like across the river, but it's not a source of a threat. They will keep pressuring the parliament to like do this law, and probably those militias, all of them, they don't want this government to resign. They don't want this parliament to be abolished because, I mean, they had measured this government for their size. So probably they will use this card in order to keep the government and the parliament as the way it is, not to oppose the parliament and having an early elections.
Right, and what is it then Iran wants at this stage in Iraq?
Well, Iran wanted to control everything in Iraq. Like, even with all the American sanctions against Iran, they have managed to survive even financially because they have Iraq as an exit route. They have Iraq to export like some like stuff, electricity, money, everything that they can do through Iraq. So they want to keep the situation the way it is.
Right, doesn't look good. Is there anything else you think we should cover before we kind of wrap this up?
No, but only the thing that I said at the beginning, that there is difference between those people who are in Tahrir Square since 1st of October and those people who stormed the embassy compound.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of media saying, oh, Iraqi protesters. And it's like, well, no, the connotation of the Iraqi protesters are the people trying to fight for their will, you know.
They are also protesting the strike against them, but they are not the same protesters who are anti-Iran protesters.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's definitely good that we point that out. Mustafa, where can people follow your work? I know you're out there on the ground doing some great stuff. Where can they, keep up to date?
My Twitter account and also all my MUSTAFA_SALIMB.
Brilliant. Okay, mate. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this.
You're welcome.
That was Mustafa Salim speaking about Kata'ib Hezbollah attacking the US Embassy and the siege and what that might mean in the near future for Iraq. Also, again, please do not forget, just saying, oh, there are Iraqi protesters attacking the embassy is not accurate, as the New York Times have just done today, basically saying, oh, the Iraqi protesters have diverted from the clashes in Baghdad against the government to the US Embassy. That is not what's happened. These are not the same groups. In fact, Kata'ib Hezbollah have been involved in suppressing the Iraqi protesters whilst they fight against their government. The Iraqi protesters are fighting against basically the influence of Kata'ib Hezbollah and people like them and their affiliates on the government and what's happening to their country. So just please, don't get it mixed up. And people are saying to me, when are you going to do an episode on the Iraqi protest? Trust me, it is coming. But a friend of mine who's going to, I really want to record it with them, yet to come back from Iraq. And, obviously we want on the ground sort of stuff, as we've just had with Mustafa. So it's going to be good, but don't worry, it is coming. Anyway, it's 2020 now. Thanks very much for all the support last year, 2019. It's been amazing. This year, 2020, next decade, hopefully, is a hell of a lot more for Popular Front. Got some plans, got all sorts coming, don't worry. It's going to be more of the same, but also a lot more, more projects, not just, here's the podcast, and then here's some docs every now and then. Things are going to get a lot more organised, better projects, more going on, yeah. Anyway, to help us keep doing that, please do consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/popularfront. There you'll get bonus episodes, access to the Discord, which is incredible now for research and all sorts of stuff like that. I think you know, I think it's fair. You know, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you want. Popular Front, patreon.com/Popular Front. This episode we have a new sponsor, Oracle Coffee Company in Portland. 100% independent, ethical, all of that. Like I said, we're not having any corporate bullshit, but we definitely want to push independent businesses, independent work all the time. You'll see us doing that online a lot. We're doing it on the podcast as well. So if you check out Oracle Coffee Company, it says here they're independent multi-roaster in Portland's South Waterfront neighborhood. And they're saying they want to welcome Popular Front people, the crowd, people that listen to it. And they want people to, you know, go in there, hang out, whatever, talk to them. It's at 3875 Southwest Bond Avenue. And they said, bring your laptops and balaclavas and try our oat milk lattes. Personally, I couldn't imagine putting milk in coffee, but there you go. That sounds cool. They're a good bunch, definitely. I speak to the guy that runs it. Very good guy. Absolutely. We wouldn't support anything that isn't, you know, in line with what we're doing, independent all the way. Also, this episode is sponsored by the defensepost.com, defense with an S. Check them out for all updates on the world in conflict. Also, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Popular Front. This week or next, not this week. Next week will be the final part of the Hong Kong doc. I'm sorry that's taken so long, but just a lot of life stuff going on right now, which took time away from everything, but now everything's back on track. So yeah, youtube.com/Popular Front. Subscribe, hit the bell. Instagram, the other day we hit 30,000 followers on there, which I thought was like, wow, that's mad. Especially considering we've been shadow banned for about 6 months. We've been deleted 4 times by Instagram for nothing and reinstated every time, all 4 times. They say, oh, it's a mistake. It's just like nonsense. But yeah, instagram.com/popular.front. And someone the other day said to me, oh, I didn't know there was articles. Like there is, I mention it quite often. So go to popularfront.co. You will see on there articles, podcasts, video, everything is there. The shop, popularfront.shop, merchandise, everything's going on. Twitter at twitter.com/popularfrontco. And someone the other day made a good point. They said like some people don't realize that like I did stuff before Popular Front. So if you want, you can check out my work previously. I did stuff for Vice, News, HBO, all sorts of other places. Go to jakehanrahan.com. My surname is spelled Hanrahan. So jakehanrahan.com. Thank you very much to the following people from the Patreon. Like I always say, if you lot weren't here, this would not be going anywhere near as rapidly as it is. They are Adam Berg Snyder, Andrew Hurley, Axel Iverson, Azad, Brian McLaughlin, Chad Walker, Christopher Martin, Craig Miller, Dan Dunham, Daniel Shearer, Diana Gorvanek, Eloise Larson, Emiliano, Emily Molly, Fletcher Tate, Frank Austin, Jack Mayhoff, James from the Discord, Janet Basurto, tell me if I've said that wrong, Joanne Stocker, Joel Tambusi, Josh, Jungle King Virapan, Kay Hardy Roberts, Lawrence Abrahams, Lika Madik, Noah, Ari from the Discord, Patrick Bronte, Peter McCormack from What Bitcoin Did, Cuball, Rosha Al-Akidi, Rohan Abare, Rubicon, Ryan Sandercock, Scartoon Music, Sebastian from the Discord, Sentry, Sarushe Hawazi, Stephen Davila, STV, Tom Lochrin, Tony Bin, Vida Provost, and Zachary Hinch. Thank you all very, very much. Much appreciated. Also, thank you very much to the people who've been supporting with Bitcoin. We've got a few donations over Christmas. Thank you very much. I don't know who you are, but thanks. If you want to support us with Bitcoin, go to popularfront.co/Bitcoin. Bitcoin community, kind of the older, I wouldn't say like the older community, but the community that I remember getting involved in when I was about, 21. That kind of community seems to have been really friendly to Popular Front, and it's really cool. So thanks very much, much appreciated. Music in this episode, the intro was by Home and the outro was by Son of Old. Go to his SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/son-of-old.